Howdy, howdy, howdy. All right, let's go live. Let's do this. Fantastic. Let's get rid of this music for you guys. I don't know exactly what we're listening to. I got this no copyright music. This is so we have Jordan Lindsay on Conquer Trading and Investing. Does this very relaxed, calming, clarity music, and so I want to do something a little bit different, more upbeat, more, I don't know, like we're going to conquer the market. So he's kind of the sensei Zen master style. I'm the warrior style, I guess. I don't know. All right, so I didn't have time to prepare, unfortunately, as well as I wanted to today, but there are some topics. No problem, James. Thank you very much for your support and participation. It's gonna be great. I need to do like a screenshot of the first handful of followers that on this channel. If we grow the channel, find some way to repay you guys for your support early on. But maybe I can have you on as guests or something at some point. Those who were on here real early. So the one thing I want to talk about today are I'm working on my next set of cryptocurrency gems now. My channel's not, I'm not going to do a lot of clickbaity nonsense and try to just like throw out projects and stuff. I'm watching a lot of other YouTube channels trying to learn from them, and they just randomly throw out whatever just to try to get views and clicks. So, but I am doing some real research on some projects that I think, I think the next wave of funds are going to flow into Ethereum sidechain projects. And here's why I think this. Obviously, everybody knows about the Ethereum 2.0 upgrades. They're coming. Let me kill. Oh, the music's still going. I'm sorry, guys. Let's kill this intro music. I listen to it while I'm talking to you just to kind of keep my pace. So I have this music going very lightly in the background to keep my pace. Because I want it to be fast paced too. I know there's a lot of you guys' time is valuable, so I want to speak quickly. You guys can rewind whatever you want to listen to later and pick it up. I don't want to waste a lot of time, so I'm trying to keep my pace up. But Ethereum is obviously keeping pace with Bitcoin more than most other alts. Let's take a look at Ethereum's chart and I'll show you what I mean. Obviously, we had this downtrend level, but we've been flatlined. We have really, really solid support down here, right? On a macro, a large scale level, Ethereum is holding strong to some really key levels. Whereas other alts, they're not. they're not holding to anything, right? They're just dying versus Bitcoin left and right. So Ethereum is showing us something, right? And then like my little pet project, ADA, is also showing us strength, right? Link showing us some strength, and Dot is also, well, he's trying to recover. I think he's going to. But the projects, like my main projects I've been watching, ETH and ADA, are showing us the market. They have strength versus Bitcoin, So now ADA obviously is a solution unto itself. ADA is going to fix the scaling solution all within its platform without having to, rely on other solutions. And by the way, just so you guys know, the way that ADA does scaling is through sidechains. It's a sidechain orchestration mechanism that they have. So instead of trying to do sharding, which is Dot does sharding, Zalika does sharding. Sharding is kind of a nascent technology in the crypto and decentralized space. Sharding works fairly well in a lot of database architectures, but it's a centralized database. And even that, sharding has had profound issues in centralized databases. Now you carry this sharding technique out to decentralized data, and the problems become immense. And so sharding is going to have a lot of problems. So Zalika has apparently started to solve some of these problems, and you see their price spike here. They got some hype, and then they're starting to come back down here. Maybe a buying opportunity on Zalika for those of you watching that project. By the way, it's also showing strength, right? So it's a good project, very good project to watch. They figured out how to make sharding work. The first ones that have really done it outside of Dot, and Ethereum's working on it. The reason Dot's got strength, Dot's figured out sharding fairly well, but they're still not fully live with a lot of their stuff. Cardano is going to have an orchestration of sidechains. So they're embracing sidechains as their scaling solution, but it'll be native to the platform. I'm sipping on, this is not coffee, this is like coffee. So I have cold brew coffee here. So it's a nitro cold brew coffee. So this is not a rum hour, it's a coffee hour. That's what I'm sipping on. Ethereum, but back to Ethereum. Hey crew, hey Justin, hey James, Giles, Looking at the ETH BTC trade you mentioned, but I don't have access to Coinbase in New York. Open a small position. It hasn't tripped a buy signal. I haven't bought any more Ethereum. I'm out of the trade entirely on ETH BTC because I got stopped out here. So I had a trade. I'll just let you guys know. This was not a CTM entry. This is just I was bottom fishing recovery on support, which I did over here, right? So I did this and I got stopped out, I think at 25 or something. And then I re-entered here, or 26. I got stopped at 26, lower than that. So that was a little bit of a loss, but I had a huge gain doing the same thing. This is why risk management is so important, right? So I tried that here, I got stopped out here. I tried it again here, and I took profit here, right? So my gain was bigger than my loss. Took another entry here, and took another entry here. This entry, I got stopped out for slight profit as we dropped below here, and this entry, I got slight loss. So I've had 2 losses, 2 wins, but I'm up significantly on the 4 trades I did because my winners were much bigger than my losers. Losers are small, winners are big. On the trading side. Now let's talk the tech side. CTM in the house. Hey Lawrence. Did somebody post that I'm live on CTM or something? Let me just see. All of a sudden I've got a bunch of people flowing in here. No, nobody posted it. Alright. Well, it's good to have all you. Thank you guys so much for joining the live stream today. Talking sidechains today. We're talking sidechains. Sidechain projects. Now, Ethereum, as you guys know, Alan and I are doing fantastic in mining because, man, mining is profitable right now. Gas fees are really high. Let's go to the Gas Explorer. ETH Gas Explorer. Gas tracker. Etherscan.io. Gas is getting to be pretty high. Pretty high. Wait, where's my... This is not the website I normally pull up. Etherscan.io. There we go. No. Where's my site? Anyway, I'm not finding it right now. But Ethereum prices are getting up there right now. They're really, really high right now. And this is going to be a problem on the network. They changed the site? Whatever. It's getting to be a bit of a problem on the network. There are some projects, dApps, that are losing money right now. Yeah, just testing out how it works. Only USD. ETH BTC doesn't show my positions. Oh, well that stinks. Yeah, ETH USD. I mean, I think you probably had an actionable. Yeah, look at this. This trend line support. You're gonna have a buy signal here soon. I mean, who knows how long the market's cooling off a little bit here. I hope we at least sell back to 32 and just get a nice consolidation in here for a bit. That would be healthy. Back to our sidechains conversation. I'll read comments. I'm going to get off the comments for a second because I keep getting distracted. All right. So Polkadot. The reason I warmed up to Polkadot was, they do sharding. They've kind of figured that out. That's not why. Because what I really realized when I dove into the project was this is going to be the Etsy for developers, right? Or the Shopify, where they're going to come online and they're going to use the Polkadot platform to build new, smaller projects and then interconnect to larger projects. That got me more excited about it. Link, I think, is fantastic. They've had a lot of FUD lately. They'll bounce back. ADA and Ethereum. Now, Ethereum has been showing us the strength I've been talking about. He's keeping pace with, and Ethereum's about to make a leap. Probably the next leap is going to be a nice little leap to the all-time high break, and then the breakout on ETH above the all-time high is when we're going to see this move here that I've been wanting to take advantage of. Right when we break out of this. We broke out of the downtrend. We're coming back in to test the downtrend. Perfect test and resumption. Be sure to take some profits coming into this resistance, right? This top trend line was a great place to take profits on this big spike that we had. I mean, we literally went from the bottom trend line to the top trend line. Perfect trade. But be ready to put back on trades when we get out here. But this is the trade I'm going to want to take advantage of, this big move that we're going to have here. This I think is probably going to happen after ETH breaks its all-time high and enters price discovery. It might go as high as like $3,000 pretty fast. Now, the reason I say the next big gain, so ETH could triple on us pretty fast here. And then it'll probably stagnate as Bitcoin then ramps up for its grand finale later in the cycle, right? So that's kind of what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to get a nice pop at ETH. ETH will break its all-time high, hit price discovery, and run. But then Bitcoin's going to enter its grand finale late in the cycle, and everybody else is going to die versus Bitcoin. So we want to be back in the Bitcoin trade for the Bitcoin grand finale. But this is the time to be trading alts. Now, Ethereum is struggling with high gas fees. It's all over the place. projects are losing money. So they're looking at sidechain scaling solutions in the meantime until ETH 2.0 gets rolled out. Now, see my video at ETH 2.0. It started. It's officially started. The Beacon chain is live, which is the orchestration chain. But we have a long way to go until the mainnet, which is today, is docked or merged into ETH 2.0. And that's when ETH 2.0 will actually be live, is when the current proof of work system that we have now gets converted and docked into the new Ethereum 2.0 network. Because until then, they have to maintain support for all the contracts they have today. And until then, you won't be able to write contracts or do computational elements on the virtual machine on ETH 2.0 until mainnet today gets docked into ETH 2.0. When that happens, ETH 2.0 will fully be live, and the scaling solutions will be less important because ETH will have its own internal ability to scale for transaction scaling. But until then, and until they work out the bugs, even if when they get mainnet docked, there might be bugs that they have to contend with, right, as they try to scale up. So until then, the next 2 years, that's 2 years probably until they're fully rolled out with Ethereum 2.0. With all this new interest in cryptocurrency coming in, the only savior, if people want to continue to use Ethereum, and people are, right, it has the network effect, are these sidechain projects. And so I found this little website here, Hacker Noon. This was published in 2018. So I'm getting kind of dated myself. I'll tell you, I was involved in this project. I'm dating myself by doing this in Loom, which is a sidechain application. I was involved in Loom, but the one I wanted to talk about, Liquid, is a big one by Blockstream, which enables instant movement of funds between exchanges without delay, confirmation of blockchain or Ethereum, right? So it's a sidechain project. Where is the Ethereum sidechains that I wanted to talk about? Is it not Plasma? Oh, Plasma does MapReduce. So Plasma's interesting. So basically, Plasma uses a lot of the so in the MapReduce function, this is what if you guys have ever heard of Hadoop clusters. So this is how like big data applications work. And so they brought this technology into a sidechain. Of course, this technology is in a lot of actual main chains as well. But Merkle proofs are just your base tree. So what I'm doing is I'm currently researching all these different sidechains, and this is an older list of sidechains that I know about. So I was kind of reminding myself about different projects that I had read up on a while back. Now there's a lot of newer projects that I need to get up to speed on. So I'm dating myself a little bit by showing you all this. But what I'm going to start to do is see what's new in the sidechain space, and I'm gonna do a video on the top potential. These sidechain projects, as Ethereum ramps, especially when Ethereum breaks its all-time high, makes the news. It's above its all-time high. It's already making news, right? That's where the money, I think, is gonna go. You know, obviously these our mains that we're watching will also get a nice boost when Ethereum does that. Cardano is going to be the biggest benefactor as Ethereum comes under pressure, because they should be launching Goguen in March, and developers can natively port to Cardano starting in March if they want it to move to a faster network that has much lower fees. But the other option is sidechains and Ethereum. And so let me pull it up here on my second screen. I went live here and I lost a page that I had ready to pull up. 1 second. Bear with me. Where is my... Not watch later. Oh, I'm not finding it right now. Ethereum sidechains. Sidechain. There we go. So there's Plasma, ZK rollup, Matic is the main one. That's the one I was looking for. This is the one that's been making the most news lately, is Matic. And I think Matic got a pretty big bump in its price lately. Let's go look at Matic real fast. That's what I was looking for. 3 cents a token right now. It's just, the ticker is Matic. So I haven't done my research on this one just yet, so don't go off and buy this sucker. Do your own research. Yeah, so it's got this little pop here early. So this is like the Bitcoin of the sidechain scaling solutions, as far as I can tell. It's the main one that everybody talks about. I haven't done much research on these just yet. I've been doing more research on platforms like DOT and ADA and stuff like that, obviously. But this is one of the bigger scaling solution platforms. So this is the BTC chart I'm looking at here. So it's got a lot of room to move to. It is trying to. So it made this little pop earlier. And these sidechains, several of these sidechain projects had a big bid the last couple of days, and now they're way back down. So maybe buying opportunity. So I will try to get that video out over the weekend. I'll finish doing my research on these projects. Let me go to questions now, so we can try to do the live Q&A. So this is the main one that I need to research and see. I haven't really read up on it yet. I will get to it. Now, as you guys know, I operate some staking nodes, but I do operate a Lightning network, which is Lightning is a sidechain, right? So Lightning is an example. It's the sidechain people probably most know, Bitcoin's Lightning network. I do operate a Lightning node, and at first, when I first built it, it was a pain in the rear end to build, and it's kind of a pain to manage. There's been a lot of updates, but the reason it's been a pain to manage is because there's been so many updates, which is a good thing. Actually, the last 3 or 4 updates, there's a lot. It's starting to get a lot more activity. I've seen a lot more routing volume across my node, and a lot of the little more intricate details about how to tweak and tune your peering connections is actually becoming a lot better in this last versions. All right, let's take a look at the comments here. Gas fees is killing Joel. Hey Vern, thank you. I appreciate that. What about ETH futures coming in February? I think, Mark, it's going to add more players in the space. Does that cause it to go up? Does it cause it to go down? I don't know. It brings more liquidity. It brings a lot more liquidity to the space. ETH is running into a supply crisis like Bitcoin is, honestly. So ETH, there's a lot of things soaking up ETH tokens. ETH 2.0 has a lockup on it, obviously. There's a lot of other projects that are soaking up ETH tokens. There's a lot of value locked in the platform. So if you were to evaluate, so I'm going to do a video here soon too about why I think Ethereum could someday have a larger market cap than Bitcoin. Now, I've said this a bunch of times. I don't know that it's going to happen. I have no idea. If Ethereum is totally dominant, the network effect proves to be so strong that these other projects that we're watching don't take a significant market share. If it maintains a dominant market share, you can value Ethereum like an equity, right? Bitcoin, you have to value like gold because everybody knows it's kind of the store of value, right? And if like the Lightning Network were to really take off and it becomes a useful monetary, like you can use it for trade and it becomes like the central global currency, then it's going to blow away Ethereum's valuation. If Bitcoin stops at being a hedge, that's the digital version of gold 2.0, Ethereum could get past Bitcoin in its total market valuation because you could almost value Ethereum like an equity. And there's 2 reasons why. You've got basically book value and all the value locked in to the protocol. There's a ton of real world money locked on the platform today for real transactions and real applications. Secondly, it produces cash flow. It does produce money. All these applications, so on the network itself, may not produce direct cash flow, but on all these projects, all these DeFi apps, everything being built on top of it as a platform produce real world cash flow. And so Ethereum is going to have the advantage of both being a cryptocurrency and a utility token on the largest network, but you can almost value it like an equity. And when you look at what's bigger, the S&P 500, the equity basket, or gold? Well, the S&P 500 I think is like $30 trillion. Somebody correct me. Somebody look it up. And it's a monster market cap, and gold is I think 1/3 of the S&P 500's total market cap. Somebody please look that up. That'd be great. But if you look at like the Russell 2000, right, which is like really more representative of the major U.S. companies, that market cap is the Russell plus S&P plus Nasdaq. Like the market cap of all these companies is way bigger. And so when you look at Ethereum as if Ethereum is the dominant platform on which decentralized applications are built, it's like, you know, the U.S. economy equivalent, right? So this is the platform onto which everything else is built. So, you know, you can think of Ether more like a commodity like oil, which is probably more valuable than gold. I haven't looked at the total market cap of oil, but in all, Ethereum could easily become more valuable than Bitcoin in the long run. Now, again, if Bitcoin becomes the central, you know, monetary reserve currency, then no, that's not going to happen. All right. What's going on, Jordan? What's going on, everybody? So that's my thoughts on Ethereum and the potential of Ethereum. So, you know, again, when with the scaling solution sidechains, what I'm looking at, I'll be doing a video on the top sidechain projects to watch, which I think might be, if you guys are looking for some of those hot shot, small amount of money to put aside on some projects, that might be a place to look at. Now, in the grand scheme of things, let's talk about, let me pull up my slides, hold on. So sidechains was kind of the focus of my talk, what I was going to talk about today, and then we can look at some charts here. The other thing I want to talk about is, I'll keep a pulse on this little, can I just extract this? Hold on one second. File, export, download as a JPEG, that'll work. All right, so I started to map out this for everybody, right? We look at market potential. Now, the other thing I'm looking at is, you know, market potential. And this is obviously cryptocurrency projects outside of, not including Bitcoin. Now, you look at what is the potential for these different projects that we're all talking about. Well, I contend that the platforms have by far the largest market cap potential. So ETH, ADA, Tezos, Algorand, EOS, Elrond, you can put a bunch of others on here, right? VeChain is technically a platform, not Maker, Waves, a bunch of others. There's a gajillion of them, but these are the top ones, really. Elrond I'll include, and Zilliqa I should probably put on here. So Elrond and Zilliqa deserve to be on here, or Zilliqa, sorry. They have by far the biggest market potential because, again, this is the crypto equivalent of the U.S. economy, or oil, or however you want to look at it, right? Or the S&P 500. Now, these utility tokens have the second most potential in my book, right? Especially like Link and DOT and VeChain. Now, DOT is a platform. I need to move this over to platform. The reason I put it in utility is because it's what I'm more excited about DOT is the development kit and all these new small projects that are going to be coming in, snapping in the DOT ecosystem, and not necessarily DOT as a platform. But it's a platform as well. Do I have a little kid at my door? I have my son at my door. All right, VeChain, you know, is supply chain logistics. Very good utility in that platform. Hold on, I gotta go tell them to. My son's banging at my door. All right. And then the DeFi space, right? So, hold on, I'm gonna tell them to cut that out. I'm on a live stream, sorry. I'm on meeting. Stuff you live with, guys. I don't know. Anyway, sorry about that. It's gonna kill my viewership. The DeFi space, like what's has more potential, Amazon or, you know, a financial services company, right? So you can also think of ETH, ADA, DOT as like they could become the Amazon of this space, right? And then decentralized exchanges, what has a bigger upside, Robinhood or Amazon, right? And then the currency space, these guys are not going to beat Bitcoin. End of story. They're not going to beat Bitcoin. They all have different interesting things that they can be used in niche markets, but they're not going to be used as the central global reserve currency, right? So these have nowhere near the upside. So my upside goes from left to right. The biggest upside's on the left, and it gets smaller on the right. Something just to kind of think about. All right, let's take a look at comments, questions. So, but yeah, back to that whole, you know, Ethereum, he's going to pump pretty soon, probably, and we'll see what happens. But those sidechain projects are the next thing that I think might get a bid. And let's look at some charts. Let's look at some comments. Jordan's, yeah, that's crazy. I got a gajillion comments to scroll through here. I think I found your channel through Jordan. Yep, Jordan's been. I'm riding those coattails, I guess. I didn't mean to, but he's gonna make me. I know you're a crypto guy. Got any opinion on dips we saw on precious metals today in relation to crypto? I was busy today, but I saw some news. People were saying that they think that this is people selling out of gold to get into the hot, to join the FOMO into Tesla and crypto. That's what they thought was going on. And this, I said this, I think I tweeted this just the other day. I said, and you know what? In theory, if the Gold 2.0 narrative does continue, and people do see Bitcoin as a better version of gold, then for the first time in 5,000 years, gold should take a hit in valuation. Like, it's been the constant, right? So I've used this analogy before. When people say, "Oh, gold's going up," no, gold's not going up. Fiat's going down. I mean, gold's always been the constant. I mean, you think about, if I go back 5,000 years ago and I had a bar of gold, say I had, I don't know, it's 10 ounces of gold, $19,000. Let's think about, so say I had 100 ounces of gold, which is, whatever, $200,000 or something. Am I doing that right? $2 million. Doesn't sound right. Anyway, so if I had a bar of gold that was worth about whatever a house is today, go back 5,000 years, that same amount of gold would probably buy you a nice house in some ancient Mesopotamian city. Go back to the time of Greece, that same gold bar would buy you a nice house in Athens, and then go forward to the Roman Empire to buy you a nice. Gold is the constant. It's been the same for forever. So Bitcoin replacing it as the primary method to store of value could actually cause gold to take its first hit in 5,000 plus years. So now maybe a bar of gold won't buy a house anymore. One Bitcoin will buy you a nice house, right? Or whatever. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's interesting. I don't honestly think that's going to happen. I think there's room for both of them. They both have different. Gold is, I still think, the constant, honestly, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. It's not my expertise. That's my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. Anticipation of futures make it fly before February. Yeah, ETH. Yeah, I mean, it adds more players to the space, and right now, the risk is to the upside, as Jordan would say on ETH. So, if you have new players coming into the space, yeah, there may be new people that can short it via the CME futures, but I think the ability to buy it is going to be bigger than the ability to, and if people do try to short it, they're just going to get burned. I mean, that's the other thing to keep in mind. If it does take a temporary dip when the CME futures go live, we're in the Bitcoin bull market, and there's more buyers than there are sellers, and so eventually they're just going to get burned, and you know what happens when short sellers get burned. Sup, Heath? Anticipation futures make it fly. Predicting a pullback of Bitcoin at 42. Yeah, I did. I said I think 40 to 42 would be a really good place for Bitcoin to at least consolidate, if not pull back to say 32. I hope it consolidates. I want it to, for my sanity and the sanity of the long-term outlook. Thanks for the likes. I appreciate it. What's going on, Jordan? Nice to have Jordan here. Man, I'm going to go to oh my goodness, there's so many comments. You can't rush success. Weekly strategy vids. Could you comment on Ledger Nano versus BC Vault as a phone dedicated to crypto? Yeah, so if I remember, BC Vault lets you take an old phone and turn it into like a cold storage wallet. I haven't done enough research on it to I saw it and I thought about researching it. Frankly, cold wallets are pretty inexpensive, and so I haven't done enough research to see if there's an advantage to doing like. So I can't comment on it just yet, but I'll add it to the list of things to research. I'm super gold bull who strayed into crypto after debating gold versus Bitcoin for a few ages, including owning both is best. I agree with you, Joel. I actually, as soon as we get off of here, I'm going to go buy some more gold bullion on this dip, if I can find some in stock. I moved some of my stuff, so I want a little bit more here. But anyway, nonetheless, I'm probably going to go add a little bit. Looks like BTC having trouble getting back over 40. Yeah, it's consolidating. That looks good. Looks healthy to me. I see no problems here. Jordan mentioned the exit to altcoins around the same time that we'll exit Bitcoin now. I'm a bit confused about your recent video about the alt phases. So Jordan has made it clear that he'll exit the altcoins when he exits Bitcoin. I will exit 90% of all that. When we sell Bitcoin, I'll sell all my Bitcoin and the majority of my alts. I am going to hold a subset of my alts and maybe continue to try to actively trade as long as the alts stay hot. But we're going to use CTM methodologies. We'll be trading versus at that point. Yeah, I don't know. I won't keep a subset. So I'll be trading versus the USD chart at that point, but I'll just be using CTM methodologies. If we get a buy signal and some alts that are going to pump after Bitcoin is sold off, with a very small amount of the funds that I've exited, I will continue to trade as long as there's trades and setups available. But I will be exiting 90% of my positions. As soon when we exit Bitcoin, I'll be 90% out and maybe leave a little bit on as the charts dictate as setups happen. Let's put it that way, right? So if I see that all the cryptos going down, I'm going to exit entirely. But if I see clear, buy signals that an alt looks like they want to pump, then I will use CTM, methodologies and good risk management. And you know what? If it continues to sell off, and then I'll take a couple of trades, I'll get stopped out, and that'll be the end of that. But if I get some good shoot up, they shoot up, they ramp, then we'll take profits into resistance and we'll play it like we normally do. But just look for setups. That's what I'll be doing after Bitcoin sells off. But yeah, I'm not going to be like 100% in. Forget that. According to, you should be better to trade all alts to BTC before BTC's grand finale. Yeah, so I've said this before, right? So last cycle, I called it the Bitcoin grand finale. Let's go look at the BLX chart. So my phases basically are based on what happened to Ethereum last time. Also, don't assume that this has to happen. These were the phases I picked out in the shakeout, bear trap, and then the BTC grand finale. It's really kind of 5 phases. These are phases that I identified last time. They don't have to happen this time. Let's overlay ETH USD just for fun because we did ETH BTC last time. But when you look at, well, let's go back to ETH BTC. I need to do it on ETH BTC because we have to, the point is to be winning versus Bitcoin. All right. So you can kind of clearly see when I overlay Ethereum here, there's a couple of key points when Ethereum pumps versus Bitcoin. So this is its price versus Bitcoin, right? So early on, when we had that inversion I keep talking about, we might have already had a little bit of an inversion, right? So we did have a sell-off in Bitcoin in which funds did flow to Ethereum. That happened. My music is annoying me. Hold on. So, and it was very short-lived this time. So that maybe the only thing we get. And then we had this FOMO phase where Bitcoin's going up, but then Ethereum goes up versus Bitcoin even faster. This whole phase right here. This is what I called the FOMO phase. And then we had, ETH lost steam versus Bitcoin, but it kept going up. It flatlined, and then both of them kind of tanked right here. Here's the bear phase, right? Here's the bear trap. So both of them went down precipitously here. And then here's the grand finale phase. When Ethereum was stagnant and Bitcoin was doing its thing. Actually, let me redraw that. It was right here, right? So Bitcoin's grand finale, Bitcoin made this huge run, and Ethereum was just flat versus him. This is when I'll be heavily positioned back into Bitcoin and very light on my alts because this is Bitcoin's time. This is Bitcoin's cycle. It's the reason all this is happening in the crypto markets is because of Bitcoin's cycle. It's not because Ethereum's the greatest thing since sliced bread and it's going up. It's because it's following Bitcoin. Now, Ethereum has its own merits, and we saw DeFi pump this summer ahead of Bitcoin on its own merits. And that's a good signal in my book. But nonetheless, the reason everything's moving now is Bitcoin. So I want to be heavily invested. The last quarter of this whole run, I want to be heavily invested in Bitcoin for Bitcoin's grand finale. Then when Bitcoin sells off, you see here, Ethereum made some gains versus Bitcoin. Now let's look at that on the USD chart. I think it's let's add the USD back on here. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to do ETH USD. All right. Now remember, this whole time, up until Bitcoin's grand finale, we're trying to beat Bitcoin. After Bitcoin's grand finale, it's all fair game. Then you're just trying to make profit, take good trades. All right. So as you see here, Ethereum followed Bitcoin up. As Bitcoin did its grand finale, Ethereum was up versus the US dollar, but it was down versus Bitcoin. I should probably keep both of them on here. Let's put the ETH BTC on here. and that'll be in blue. So ETH was, so you want to be in Bitcoin because that's appreciating faster than Ethereum. So the blue down here is Ethereum versus the US dollar, and the purple is Ethereum. I mean, the blue is Ethereum versus Bitcoin. The purple is Ethereum versus the US dollar. All right. So for Bitcoin's grand finale, we want to be heavily in Bitcoin and out of alts. And then after Bitcoin starts to sell off, we have some more trading opportunities. Look what Ethereum did when Bitcoin sold off. This is the last inversion. This is kind of like the post-bull market inversion. I don't know that it's going to happen, so don't take as my word that's going to happen. But if that happens and we get, buy signals, so you get some consolidation here, you get a good buy signal, I'm going to take it. I'm going to do good risk management, have my stop loss set at a reasonable place. And if it pops, then great. I made a nice little post bull market profit. If it tanks, well, you get stopped out and I wait for another entry. And if I don't get another entry, I don't get another entry. It's that simple. So I think we can profit from. This is history. History doesn't have to repeat, right? It's just likely to, in some capacity. History is likely to repeat, but it doesn't have to repeat. So to recap, what I talked about in my video was this was the inversion. Tradable event. That's what we just had. And we might have more of it coming up here. I don't know. But we just had that. I took advantage of that and got a little bit of profit, not a lot. This is the FOMO phase. We want to take advantage of that. We want to be out of alts and into Bitcoin for Bitcoin's grand finale phase. And we also probably want to be out of alts and into Bitcoin for the bear market phase. And then we might have some tradable events post Bitcoin sell-off, and it's all fair game. Probably we'll be focused on the USD charts for the post-bear market inversion rally. Those are your tradable events. That's what I'm watching for. It's what I've always been watching for. So right now we have the inversion just kind of happened, and we might be just waiting on the sidelines, patiently waiting for the waves to come in of the FOMO phase. So we wait for setup. That's what we do. So right now we don't have a setup, right? I'm out of ETH I have my HODL position. I'm still holding my HODL position. I'm still holding my Ethereum, but I have no trades on it because I got stopped out at profit here, took profit here, got stopped out at profit, and also one loss on a trade I put on here. But overall it was profitable, and now I'm just waiting for the next setup, wait for the next wave to come in. I hope everybody gets that. All right, so back to the comments here. I'm probably way behind. Are you saying short gold? Yeah, short gold. I'm very bullish on gold. I think gold hits 3,000 in 2021. That's my bold prediction. Crypto trades and a toddler. That is awesome, Kyles. I missed that. That was awesome. All right, Jordan mentioned exit altcoins. I hope everybody understands my thesis on that, and I hope you understand it lines up with what Jordan's saying. I'm just being far more proactive about looking at things in the alt space because I want to be active in trading them to maintain my discipline and my skills and everything else in there. But I'm being very, very cautious and using very, very good risk management. And if alt season ends up being a bust, then you know what? I'll have fiddled around with a couple of trades and probably come out of here break even, and it'll have been a waste of time, but I'll have put in some practice, right? Look at it like that. Crypto trades and tech so calm. Do what you gotta do. VET is starting to see some real-world application being used in Turkey to track provide digital sort of. Yes, yeah. There's lots of good news on VET. VET's a great project. VeChain. Kids are way more important. Peter Schiff is going to be furious. Nice, guys. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, what else do we got here? Short squeeze. What do we got going on here? Oh yeah, if we get that. Yeah, Ethereum shorts come in. They want to play. Try to short this. They're going to end up like the Tesla bears. Let's look at the Tesla. What are the Tesla bears doing today? They're crying a lot. 880. Tesla bears. That's going to be crypto bears. Well, it is kind of crypto bears right now. I was wondering if you had quickly covered the graph. Yes. Graph is grade A. Graph is good, a good project. It's worth. It's. I need to get a video out on the graph. It's. How do I explain it simply? I'm just gonna go like I can't think fast enough on my feet. So let's go look at it. GRP graph, right? Graph. What is the ticker? I have it. I have it on my watch list. Pretty sure. Graph is a good project. Graph is a good project. Is it on here? Do I not have access to it anywhere? And maybe why I don't talk about it a lot. It's not probably on Kraken. That's Unigraph. Is that the same one? I'm trying to remember what's the words escaping me as to what graph power is. DeFi helps. Yeah, no. What's the word I'm looking for? It provides. It's a word. It's a technical word. Hold on. Let me Google it. I want to summarize it for you. The graph is the graph. APIs, graph indexing protocol. That's it. Thank you. An indexing protocol. So it allows you to quickly query a lot of different blockchain data. So graph is a good one. I like it. I haven't talked about it much because I don't know if that it's tradable on Kraken. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. If it is, I need to get it on my chart. But I don't see it here. It's called the graph. That's my problem. The graph. GRT. Is it on my list? The graph. GRT. I don't see it here. It must not be tradable on Kraken. That's probably why I haven't talked about it much. Let's just look. GRT. XBT. It is! It's on Kraken. Oh, I've missed this one. Oh, it's just been down though. That's why. Maybe that's why I haven't looked at it. Technicals aren't good. It needs to go on my chart. It's worth looking at. All right. Technicals look horrible, so, you know. That's probably why I haven't talked about it. Okay, back to the comments. Old phone might be buggy. Dan touched on gold privacy feature, but Max Kaiser talked about, this is Jordan's comment, about how difficult physical gold and silver is to trade out of. Interesting, is I've never tried to sell my precious metals. I have never once ever sold precious metals either, so I have no clue. I can imagine it might be kind of difficult unless the world is falling apart and you're trying to buy a gallon of gas, and then you might be happy to hand over a couple of silver coins for a gallon of gas. All right, Brandon, GTD late here. I'll catch up later. I gotta go. All right, Michael. Well, do you need moderators? If I do, maybe. FYI, George moderates. Thank you. George, if you'd like to moderate, I would be happy to. So I keep meaning to get Alan on these Friday live streams, the educational ones. So we did one last week. In future ones, I'll probably have Alan also, if he's available, moderate, because then he can also answer questions in the chat. And as much chat volume as I'm getting right now, I probably need to, because obviously he's just as knowledgeable in crypto as I am, more so in a lot of areas. So he'd be a great one. But George, yeah, if you want to moderate just to keep spammers out, I'd appreciate it. That'd be awesome. And then I need to get Alan in here to answer questions that I can't get to. I'm not sure that's correct. Makes sense to me. First BTC pumps, then Ethereum, then after that alts. Yeah, so last market cycle, we had the crazy ICO phase. So I don't ever look at any other alts other than Ethereum, because I think the way that things traded back then is going to be different because there's a different understanding. And so I just focus on what Ethereum did, because I know the major projects I'm tracking are probably going to react similar to how Ethereum did last cycle, and that's my best gauge. Potentially a doji, depending on the close. That's right. I'm an alts push about 2 weeks longer than Bitcoin. Yeah. So Jordan just kind of confirmed back to 40,000. So that's the main thing, though, guys. If we use proper risk management and you follow CTM trading methodology, if you get the signals and there's a tradable event, take the trade. I mean, it's that simple. If And if you get a couple of positive trade signals, you get stopped out, you're not going to get any more trade signals if the trade's going against you. Then you're going to be like, okay, now I'm in a downtrend, and either you short it or you get out. It's that simple. Just quit trading it. I love this community. Thanks for introducing me, Jordan. Yeah, thanks, Jordan, for bringing Brandon is taking a step further. BTC is gold, ETH is silver. Look at it like that. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so Heath, I won't. I can like BTC is a store of value and a currency, and Ethereum is a platform. And like I said, you can kind of, you can equate Ethereum to silver if you want, but I equate Ethereum more to like an equity or like a commodity than Bitcoin's store of value. They're different. They're Ethereum and Bitcoin, when you understand them, are completely different things. Like they're both technically cryptocurrencies. They're totally different. And when the market figures this out, things will make more sense for a lot of people. But Bitcoin is its own thing. Bitcoin is the new better gold for right now, and it might be the new global reserve currency. If it's just the new better gold, it's going to go up 10x from here, at least 500,000 or so. And if it's the new global reserve currency, then I don't know, it's going to be ridiculously expensive. If it's the new global reserve currency, there's no way any other cryptocurrency is ever going to touch it in value. But if it's just pegged as gold 2.0, then in theory, these platforms that are producing positive cash flow and have value locked into them through real world value locked into them that have a quote unquote book value, they could surpass Bitcoin. But again, it won't be. I've had the comment that'll be an existential threat to crypto if Ethereum ever passes Bitcoin. If Ethereum ever passes Bitcoin in market cap, the market will know. The market participants are going to understand the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum at that point, if that happens, and nobody's going to care that Ethereum passed up Bitcoin because they're different things. That's the way I look at it. I mean, nobody considers the S&P 500 and gold the same thing. Now they're two different investment vehicles, and from a trading perspective, yeah, you can consider them the same thing, but at the end of the day, they're not the same thing. Do you trade in and out of USDC or alts? I trade in and out of BTC. BTC is my base account. Ever since Jordan told us, quit looking for the downside, you dummies. Down here, if y'all remember, I was dead wrong. This is the other thing too. I've been wrong a lot, so don't think I'm right a lot. I'm just trying to share what I get. I was dead wrong. I sold some Bitcoin into here, and bought back 10% of what I sold right here on this dip, thinking it was going to keep going down. And I kept being stubborn and waiting. Fortunately, Jordan got us on the right side of the market, and at 18,320 right here, I got back in 100%. I said, I'm done fooling around too, because we made, what really got me is we made a higher high and then a higher low. And I'm like, all right, the market spoke. I'm wrong. It wants to go up more. So I've been 100% since right here. I've been back in 100% in Bitcoin, and everything else I do, any trades that I take, and I already was fully positioned in my alts. I haven't bought a single alt since this. All my alts were bought before this. Maybe I added some Link. I think I added some Link. I had some USD funds. Yeah, I did. I added some Link on one of these dips. I think right here. Yeah. So the last thing I did buy was actually Link right through there, in USD. That's it. That was a small amount. So I trade versus BTC because I've been fully positioned into BTC since Jordan got us all thinking correctly back here. So there you go. That's where I'm at. Price is king. Exactly. Mark, no Binance in New York either. If you need a moderator, let us know. Will do, guys. Feel free to ignore this if you don't cover stuff. Any thoughts on miners like Riot? Oh yeah, so I had a lot of thoughts. Stykes, I don't know if you're on a CTM chat or not. I posted a lot of research that I did on. Here's I'm gonna give you just the real quick answer. I was into miners. I had with my equity accounts, instead of liquidating, I didn't want to lose all my advantages I had with TD Ameritrade and Thinkorswim and all the free stuff that you get when you have a history of an account with them. So I kept that account open and to play Bitcoin instead of doing GBTC, which is what I should have done. I went to the miners, and I played the miners for a little bit there, and then I did some back testing research, and here's what I found. I'm just going to throw Riot up here on the chart, and this is why I got out of them. At a very small profit, I got out of them and just went all into crypto itself. Here's Riot in orange overlaid on the last cycle. Is this percentage? Yeah, percentage gain. Now you'll see, basically, from the beginning of the cycle to the end of the cycle, Riot was completely decimated in total gains by Bitcoin. So that's the first thing to keep in mind. It's that the miners pump at random times, and it's kind of hard to predict when they're going to pump and when they're going to sell off. But look at this. It peaked right here. Look at the price when Riot peaked, right in this big uptrend. And then Riot went, this is the USD price of Riot, went sideways while Bitcoin went up. And then it did a monster spike randomly right here while Bitcoin's still going up. And then it spiked again right at the very end. But the main conclusion I had is Bitcoin outgained the miners. So I might as well just be in Bitcoin. Why people tout the miners as leveraged trades against Bitcoin, but they're losing trades against Bitcoin. They're laggards. and they spike randomly, and then they sell off hard. And so you'll see this really pronounced back here. Yeah, see this, like this spike? Look at this. Riot spiked like it's doing right now, by the way, so be careful. And then as Bitcoin went up, Riot sold off. Bitcoin's going up, Riot selling off. What's going on here, right? And this is short, short squeezes, right? And it spikes right here, and then Bitcoin goes way up, and Riot's down. Bitcoin's up. So it doesn't track Bitcoin. It's a laggard, and it spikes randomly when you get these short squeeze events. And I don't know if there's any other market forces going on here. But my main takeaway when looking at that again was Riot lagged, and it was a loser versus the owning actual Bitcoin. So that's when I realized that, I did my research. I was went, okay, never mind. I sold completely out and rotated all my equities over to crypto. That's the trade right now, right? I do have some equity accounts, but it's a small amount of money left compared to what I've moved over just to straight crypto. Because that's the trade. I didn't want to mess around with owning equities that supposedly tracked Bitcoin when they ultimately lost, right? So in total, last market cycle, Riot peaked out at 1,000% gain, whereas Bitcoin peaked out at 3,000% gain. So I just decided I don't want to play them anymore. All right, that was my answer to that. Hope that helped you out. What is Riot looking like right now? I think I had them on my chart, but I took them off my chart because I just don't care anymore. You can say I did some work. $26. Oh my goodness. Whoo. Yeah, I had like a bunch down here. Maybe I should have held. All right. Well, no. Anyway, that is a. Is that a 10x? The 10x. All right. Well, I mean, Bitcoin's what, 4x'd? So that's when I went back into, when I converted all my funds, I bought in, no. What is this, a log chart? What am I looking at here? Remember that dip right here? Yeah, this is when I sold. So the miners, I was in the miners, I played the miners, I sold out of the miners up here, and then I bought back into Bitcoin through here. So I moved that money over. So I guess I would have been up more. Yeah, I'm up 4x right now versus I would have been up 10x. But likely, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this cycle will be different. Maybe Riot will just, go to $400 or something. But likely what's going to happen here is as Bitcoin consolidates, this is going to sell off hard when Bitcoin finally starts to consolidate. And then when Bitcoin makes its next leg up, this is going to ping pong around and lag. Probably what's going to happen. But I don't know. Who knows? I may be totally wrong. Yeah, it is on Kraken. The reason I haven't graphed, by the way, I did some research on it. The reason is it should have been on my chart because I wanted to watch it. But with everything else I'm watching, the chart just doesn't look too terribly appealing right now. Maybe trying to double bottom here. This is the Kraken feed. I mean, it had this good pop right here. I remember that. This is when I started researching it really. Well, it just has been down since then. But I was excited. I liked the technology when I read up about it. I was like, oh yeah, that's a good use case. I like it. All right. I don't want to take setups on alt BTC pairs, but would you like to at least trade before the phases are shifting in order to increase my BTC? The problem is I already have around 70% of my portfolio on alts right now. Oh, it's a lot. I think it's a bit too early to be shifting last 2 days. Yeah, if you're that heavily involved, I mean, you gotta do you. I'd wait. Here's if you're really heavily in alts right now. Here's what you need to be watching is the Bitcoin dominance, and we are potentially forming. So that's what I'd be looking at, but it hasn't finished yet. So don't. But it's coming into resistance too as well. So we've come into resistance. This is key resistance. So let me show you my longer chart. All right, my outside trend line. This is a key level. This was where it peaked out December 2017. This is Bitcoin dominance, right? And then and then Bitcoin started to sell off and alt started to pump. So this was a very exaggerated move. Now this is, remember that we just talked about earlier. This right here was Bitcoin's grand finale, and then this right here was the post Bitcoin alt pump. So you've got a couple weeks to play with here when alts could really. This is anyway. So we peaked up into here. So this other level that I had was the key level. So that was the December high. The key level I had is we popped up to 73 in 2019. So you see that we've come into resistance here at that prior December 2017 level. And then the September level we got rejected at. And that's when we had that big rejection last time. So we're back up into that December level. Possibly looking at a head and shoulders. But we'll see. If we get rejected here, our neckline is going to be roughly this, one of these levels we're looking at somewhere in here is going to be our neckline. If that breaks, that's our really good trading opportunity down here. Nonetheless, if this breaks anyway, so technically, if you were to look at like what is the trend, it's actually pretty sideways, but at a very macro level, it's in a very long-term downtrend and a very short-term uptrend. So, overplaying it right now is probably not smart. We probably want to wait. But this is the chart I'd be looking at if I was in alts really, really heavy right now. And, you're into a lot of heavy resistance. So you're likely to get, you're likely to have better opportunities to sell your alts as this comes back down. So I don't know if a head and shoulders is going to play out. But we're into resistance 3 times. We've been rejected twice. We'll have to see what happens here. I sold about a month and a half ago. I'd be a multi-millionaire if I'd kept it. Oh, see now, Tony, this is like I want to do a video too on why, there's a couple of macro thesis about. So the Bitcoin is junk and it's a Ponzi scam macro thesis. Obviously, you'd be a no coiner, wouldn't even be in Bitcoin. But the lengthening Bitcoin cycle, I said this I was saying this in summertime, August, September, October. And, I was looking at the money supply going, man, Bitcoin's going to ramp really hard. And it's probably going to be a shorter, more violent cycle this time because of the macroeconomics. But the one thing I said is there's going to be a couple areas like lengthening Bitcoin cycle specifically is going to hurt people. People are going to wait too long to get in. So they're not going to buy in as heavy as they would if they knew it was going to be the same length cycle. And these are people, so anybody who's like listening to the lengthening Bitcoin cycle, these are people that understand the Bitcoin cycle. So that's what's sad is they understand what's going on. They know we're in a bull phase. They know we're post-halving, but they're going to be hesitant to buy into heavy because this, if it goes on till 2023 or 2024, they want their funds used elsewhere. And then if what they do buy in, if they did buy in down here or over here, they're going to be way too apt to sell, and probably most of them have been getting out since 20,000, and I'm certain they're all out right now. And maybe they're having to buy. Maybe they sold out at 20 and they're having to buy back in at 32, right? So, and the other problem is it's going to present for people. To your point, what was the comment here? You'd be multi-millionaire idiot. So, yeah, I hope you weren't one of those that sold out for those macro thesis. But for people that think that this is going to be a lengthening cycle, as we get to the end of this cycle, there's going to be a lot of hype. There's going to be, because when things are going up, everybody's just hyped through the roof. And so come summertime, late summer, or fall, whenever it peaks out, if it's at 300,000 per se, you're going to have a ton of people saying it's going to $1 million. Look, in the last 2017 cycle went through the end of the year. And I remember what happened in 2020, 2021, November, December, and January, it ramped up like crazy. It's going to do that again and go from 300,000 to 1 million. And you're going to have people FOMOing in at 300,000 at the very top because there's going to be all these stories out there, and especially if they buy into like this lengthening Bitcoin cycle. Oh man, the cycle's going on for the 2 years. We're going from 300,000 to 1 million this year, maybe 3 million, and then they may get burned. So those are three key ways I can see as significant disadvantages of following a macro thesis like the lengthening cycle, and not just following the charts and following price action, because this is. The Bitcoin halving cycle is the Bitcoin halving cycle. We knew supply was going to get cut and demand was going through the roof with all the money printing. So obviously it's super bullish for Bitcoin. And then we've been following the technicals, these uptrends, right? We've been following these uptrends, these technical levels. And as long as you follow the technicals and you don't have this macro thesis you're trying to follow into, then you'd be better off for it. But yeah, I'm sorry that you sold. I hope you can find an opportunity to get back in here. Anybody who's out, I've had this question asked a lot about this is my opinion. This is not financial advice. If you listen to me, you'll lose 1,000% of your money and be living in a van down by the river. Anybody who's not in Bitcoin currently that wants to be in Bitcoin, I would personally, if I was not in Bitcoin, I'd be figuring out whatever the top is. And I'd be putting limit orders in at 15% sell-offs, 20%, and 25%. Right? That's what I would do. I just have orders in 15, 20, 25, and I'd be adjusting those orders as price action dictated. And I would, and I would be 25%. I'd be completely 100% back in what I wanted to be. But I'd scale in 10, 15, 20% dips, or 10, 15, 25%, something like that. That's what I'd be doing if I was trying to get back in. Great, thanks, good info. You're welcome. You sold about a month ago. Oh, did you? Maybe Tony, did you sell Mara? Oh, you sold Mara. Okay. Well, you know what? If you sold Mara and got into Bitcoin, yeah, I mean you lost out on this big spike. But what's so tough? And that's a bull flag all day long. What's so tough about these miners is that they are gonna pump like randomly, and then they're going to sell off randomly. Like Bitcoin's going to go from 40 to 50,000, and these miners are going to inexplicably sell off. Like I guarantee you, something like this is going to happen where it sells off from 30 to 10 or $12, and Bitcoin's going from 40 to 50, and people are going to be buying the dip and just getting burned. So this is the time when everything looks good. The problem is these things tank unexpectedly, and then lag. And a ton of people are going to get burned. And that's why I got out of it, because I just knew that I wasn't going to be able to figure out. There's no way I was going to be able to figure out when these spikes exactly were going to happen and when to get out. It was just too hard. You're welcome, Giles. Take care. I got to wrap up here pretty soon too, guys. How about GBTC and ETH premiums? How do they correlate better? Let's look at the premiums right now real fast. And Bitwise, yeah, see the premium is expanding on Bitwise. I haven't looked at the NAV. Let's look at the Bitwise. Hold on. Let's take a look at what our NAV is and our. So yeah, see, look. That's why I was saying this big dip right here. I mean, I bought pretty aggressively, and I even rotated some GBTC into Bitwise on this big dip just because that was a premium collapse, and we came so close to NAV. And all this happened is the premiums re-expanded. The NAV's gone up a little bit maybe, but the premiums re-expanding. So. You have to just watch that, right? So the premium expands, and it's going to get away from it again, and play the premium smartly. So the Bitwise premium is starting to expand again. It's up to 77. GBTC, yeah. See, look at this. Bitcoin, I think it was up today, technically speaking, and this is premium collapsing here a little bit on a big spike of premium. And then ETH is the premium is collapsed. ETH is the best opportunity if you're going to buy the 3 right now. Because the premium on ETH is like, I think the NAV, I really think the NAV is like 1170. The NAV is like right here. So that's like no premium at all, hardly. So what happened here, this big sell-off right here was the same day Ethereum was up 24%. And the reason that happened is because 180 shares of ETH came onto the market from the lockup from the after the reverse split that happened back here. And so this just collapsed the premium. Once that all those shares find their way to hodlers, people that are going to hang on to them and not be trading them, the premium will re-expand. So, and then obviously as Ethereum goes up, which I'm super bullish on Ethereum, I think it's going to 3,000 in the near future. It's my opinion, not financial advice. But if Ethereum were to do that, if Ethereum were to go say 2,000, what's ETH going to do? When you get both the NAV exploding, the underlying asset value of Ethereum exploding, and the premium is going to re-expand, right? So you're going to have a huge monster spike in ETH. All right, thanks for all the thumbs up. Thanks for all the support, everybody. Up because they have 37 miners by the end of the year. Yeah, so you'll have like these miners are going to spike too. On the news, they're buying more miners, mining nodes, but they got to keep operating those in the long run. Any opinions on hold BTC and trade BTC CDF on Oanda using CTM 12-hour? BTC is so volatile to the upside, it's really hard to trade it. Like, if you honestly speak, look at this. How would you have traded this? Like, I got fortunate listening to George. I sold here and bought a tiny amount here, and I had to get back in right here. And man, that was super fortunate timing to get back in. But I was listening to Jordan. Fortunately, had it been on my own devices, I would have been FOMOing him back over here somewhere, right? had I not been listening to Jordan. So it's tough to trade an app like you. This is so volatile to the upside. If you sell, you may not get a good entry until much higher. So at this point, I think holding's the better idea. Thanks, Heath. So Heath gave us an Riot pumps because it has an ultra low float, and then momentum traders push price around. All right, so it's not necessarily probably a short squeeze. It's just the really low float, which makes sense too, right? Money flowing into something with tiny float, traders go crazy. Makes sense. No problem. You're welcome. You're welcome, Dave. Thanks a lot, everybody. All right, let's wrap up here. Let me turn on my music. Thank you guys so much for your time. Next week, we're going to be doing a more in-depth recap of Ethereum, smart contracts, the virtual machine. What is the virtual machine? How does the computational elements work within Ethereum, and what are smart contracts, which are just basically one-way immutable programming, if then spit out a result type things. And then the last thing we'll be talking about is how transactions are different in Ethereum versus Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's unspent transaction, and Ethereum works a little differently. So we'll go over the technicals. I'll probably do a much faster review of the white paper than Bitcoin. I have a few notes I want to bring out in the original Ethereum white paper. But the Ethereum white paper Vitalik spends most of his time talking about what Bitcoin is and how it works. So we'll get down to the brass tacks of what Vitalik was envisioning when he wrote that Ethereum white paper, and just get a good understanding of what Ethereum is, which will help us understand, back to that picture I pulled up earlier, these other projects we've been tracking. So that's what hopefully we'll get done next week. All right, guys, take care.